What's going on, everyone? My name is Alex. That's Eileen, and you're watching Straight to the Chicane podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the Monaco GP. But yet, first, if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, comment, whatever it is. We just want to hear it. We want to talk F1, and I think that's a great community that we're trying to build. What do you think, Eileen?
Yes, let's talk. Open discussion. We want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, so this week going into the Monaco GP, any news that we kind of heard? I know the cool thing that I saw was Ferrari with both the drivers got to be a little character in the new movie Lightyear.
Yes, no, that's super exciting. So obviously we saw a lot of the OG drivers in cars.
Yeah.
So this is like the new generation. So to see them both do some voiceover stuff for the new Buzz Lightyear movie for Toy Story. It was pretty cool. So that was like the breaking news. I would say we're hot coming off of the controversy in Red Bull. And obviously last video we talked about it's unfair, but okay.
Yep.
So going into Monaco, and we all know how things turned out today, it was Redemption Sunday for Perez, and really Redemption Weekend in Monaco.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. You're right. Perez looked good all weekend.
Perez was hot on fire.
Yeah.
And the rumor now, we can say after today, and what we heard was, it seems like Perez may have already signed through 2023, which is what we kind of heard walking up to the podium today with Christian Horner. So
yeah, I mean, look, he's a really good driver. He's in good form right now. He's currently 25 points, not 15 points. Excuse me.
yes,
He's in third place in the Drivers' Cup, and 15 points out.
I was going into this weekend. I was the thing was if Charles and Max both DNF'd and Perez won, that Max and Perez would be tied for first in the championship. So, I was rooting for him, and I have kind of a soft spot for Perez just because when I first started really actively watching F1 was 2020. Yep. And he didn't have a seat, and I was like, how does this driver not have a seat? Like, I don't understand. And so it was, as most of you already know, like going into December. Actually, it was after the season had ended that he was finally signed. And I'm like, I can't believe we're leaving the season and he doesn't have a seat.
Yeah.
So to see him doing so well and to see him very competitive this year and in a car, and I want to see him have an equal shot for the championship this year. Today was very exciting. I mean, I think we're going to be celebrating Checo for a while. So
Yeah. So typically Monaco, I'm sure most of you guys know if you don't know, Monaco is a fairly kind of boring race when it's in the dry, and not a whole lot can happen because it's narrow streets and these wide cars. Not too many passes can really happen. They can happen, but it's usually pretty unlikely. However, due to rain or other red flag incidences, it causes a little bit of more an exciting race, and so from time to time it does happen. Yeah. I
think Perez looked good all weekend, though. I don't know if Max was just off this weekend. I mean, he still looked really good, but Perez definitely was I don't know if it was just extra motivation going into this week from Barcelona or what it was, but he was competitive.
He was. It seemed like Max really couldn't find the perfect lap for practice or qualifying because he was getting beat pretty much every practice, and he got beat in qualifying too.
And it's interesting. I feel like Max is a little bit more reserved this year with his driving style, and he's even said it with last race when he was battling George. He was like, "Well, I'm competing for the championship, so I can't really afford to take some of these risks." Whereas last year, I'm like, I feel like he was just all out to the limit. And, so this year I feel like there's a lot more competitiveness at the top. So it's it's not just two drivers that are at the top. It's not just Charles. It's not just Charles and Max. Obviously, Carlos is competitive. Perez is competitive. So, it's the four of them, which is, it's pretty exciting. So
it is. And we got to see really good.
We did, yes.
Today we got to see four cars, the two Red Bull and the two Ferrari, really go neck for neck, battling for multiple laps here at the end. And it was a pretty exciting Monaco race. I was actually sitting pretty much on the edge of my seat, somewhere similar to this position for most of the race once it got going.
The key is once it got going.
Yeah. Yeah, so what else happened before the real race got started? There was, in America here we have the National Enquirer, and it's usually a pretty outrageous kind of magazine. And apparently with Michelle Obama being at the race last week in Miami, so that was 3 weeks ago.
They were running an article basically saying that Lewis Hamilton is coming between Barack and Michelle. Michelle is leaving Barack Obama for Lewis.
Stupid.
So we had that. That was
Silly.
a little drama in the news.
And then also, so since we've been recording this after the Monaco race, also here in America is the Indy 500, and typically there's a few F1 or former F1 drivers and maybe possibly some upcoming F1 drivers that are in the field there. And today, congratulations to Marcus Ericsson.
Yes.
He is a former F1 driver from a few years ago. He raced with Sauber and
Sauber.
Yep.
Wasn't he Charles Leclerc's original teammate?
He was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and
that crazy accident that took place, Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah.
I think it was like season 1, Drive to Survive.
Yeah. I also got to work with him in Detroit a few years ago when with a General Motors collab or something he did. But yeah, congratulations to him for winning the Indy 500.
Yes.
He had a good restart with a few laps left, and Award, who is an up-and-coming driver from America. You might see him in Formula One here soon. He had a good race. Actually, him and Dixon were leading most of the race, and almost had it. Came in second, almost had it.
Yeah, well, they also had a late red flag with only 6 laps
or
5 laps. I think there was only 4 laps.
But yeah, so I think we all in the Formula One world need to be on the lookout for Award. I think he's good. He's on the McLaren team. And speaking of that, Zach Brown was in Indianapolis for the Indy 500.
I cannot believe Zach Brown missed the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, so
it blew my mind.
So that's kind of why I brought that up too. Is that kind of makes me wonder. I know Daniel has a contract going all the way until the end of next year.
There was a lot of snippets and a lot of discussion around Daniel, his contract with McLaren, and the future.
Yeah.
So that's why we're bringing this up.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Daniel, and I think he deserves the seat that he has for sure. But I do see a little bit of things.
Well, he's not performing this year,
He's not.
And like to what McLaren's expected. And the one thing that I thought was great was that Daniel was like, "Well, it's not the truth. Like it's kind of true." So.
Yeah. I mean, he keeps it real.
I have thick skin. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm sure the conversations are taking place behind doors, but like, is it a conversation that should be just behind doors or something that's publicly scrutinized?
Well, it's going to be publicly scrutinized. This is a professional sport, a world sport.
Yeah.
And there's journalists involved, and there's people like us involved that are asking questions, So, I see that is a kind of a thing. Why was Zach Brown there? I think he's there watching his up and coming drivers. Andretti's team and a young Andretti driver.
Well, I heard that Andretti's team is not even 100% finalized for him to come into F1.
No,
that Stefano is very like, we don't need 11 teams.
They don't, but they should do it. They should allow.
I like it being an even number.
Well, then it should be 12. I agree. 24.
It's too many.
Well, no.
Like right now, I'm like, it's such a procession. Like, look at Monaco. Like, you can't do anything. So.
Well, what you do is you still only have 20 slots for the race, but there's 24 drivers, right? So there's 24 cars.
Yeah.
But you got to qualify. So 4 cars might not even qualify for the race.
But why would teams want to spend money like that? I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to spend money like that. Run through qualifying, run through practice, run the risk that you're going to damage your car, fix it, and then not even be in the race.
Maybe.
I mean, look at Haas today. Both cars
That's what they do in IndyCar, but,
Well, IndyCar is so much different.
Yeah,
So.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
So, okay, well, I guess, like, speaking of Daniel, you know, I know I posed this question to our Instagram account this weekend. Do you think Daniel will be here next year? I know that he spoke out and said that he has a contract through 2023.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll be with McLaren?
After the next year?
I mean, it sounds like there's a clause where they're tied together with some things, but might not be tied together for everything.
It's entirely possible. Look, like I just said, look where Zach Brown is. You know, he's looking at his prospect, and there's a lot of talk of award coming in, and we have a lot of other good drivers. Oscar Piastri, he deserves a spot.
I also heard that Gasly's in contention to move to McLaren because he's
heard that too.
Not signed to AlphaTauri.
That's right. I heard that too. So you're not wrong.
I think it would be disappointing to not see Ricciardo in F1 next year. I know he's had a tough couple of seasons. I just thought he really found his home with McLaren. So, you know, we're only in race 7. I'm hoping to see, like, you know, him be stronger and more competitive.
He's young enough. He'll go somewhere like IndyCar or like also what happened during the week before Monaco was Kimi saying that he's going to be doing some NASCAR races.
Yeah.
So I know that Daniel's already driven a NASCAR car.
Yes.
So
his role model.
Yeah. So I think that's entirely possible too.
Yeah.
You never know. Anyway, so Monaco. It's why we're here. It's why we're talking. It's why we do this podcast. Is to talk about the race. So coming into the Monaco weekend, the practices look pretty normal.
Low expectations of the weekend. I mean, not a whole lot. Expected to see Mercedes do better after last week with Barcelona, and then to come back in and see like major issues again. Was like almost like we took a step back with them after we took a lot of steps forward. But I felt like they had better pace once it they could get their lap together. But just they're super far off from Red Bull and Ferrari. So. But it's all about qualifying. So
yep, Monaco is usually about qualifying, as all of the journalists and all of the people say, and it's definitely true.
It's like 73% of the time they win from pole.
Yep, if it's dry, you can almost guarantee to win from pole, unless there's a huge mistake with your pit stop or something like that.
Yeah.
So typically, the practices were just nothing special, just maybe a red flag here and there. But I think the only one we got was Daniel Ricciardo, if I remember correctly.
Which also sparked a lot of controversy because his engineer came on the radio and immediately asked if the car was okay. But I was feeling some type of way about that comment at first, but come to find out, like, they didn't actually see that he was in an accident. And then he was like, well, I'm okay. And they were like, oh, we didn't see. Now we see that, the car is okay. Like, we're glad you're okay. So a little bit of confusion there. But Ricciardo fans were about to, like, charge the engineer and the pit wall. Like, we're not having it. Meet me outside. Meet me in the garage to McLaren.
Yeah. So then that kind of leads us up into some qualifying, I guess, and I figured we were gonna see a red flag possibly in Q1.
We did,
and we did.
Yes.
Yep.
So Q1 was like your typical protagonist towards the bottom. But Gasly
wait
was
to the
out.
last minute. Wait to the last minute.
Yes, but Gasly all weekend looked strong. I mean, free practice 3 was P5. Free practice 2 was P7.
He was
looking strong, looking good. And it was like, this is where I feel like they threw a premature red flag. So Tsunoda's whatever hit the curb and his wheel, like, what is it? Like his wheel well or his hubcap? What is it called? The rim?
Yeah, the rim cover. He broke like half the rim cover off.
And so they immediately threw a red flag. This is where we were like, there was all of a sudden a red flag in coverage. And we were like, where's the red flag? What happened? Who got into an accident? What's going on? And we cut to
Ferrari's garage.
Yes.
The guy's kind of moving some chairs around. We're like, what's going on?
We're like, where is the red flag?
Yeah, and that kind of brings up another topic, a sore topic for me is Monaco. When a race in Monaco, they do their own broadcasting. So typically the Formula One directors that do F1 TV and do probably Sky Sports, that whole live feed, they don't get to do the Monaco GP. Monaco has their own hired people, which is cool. I mean, they're keeping it in-house. I get it. But typically there's some struggles. So like last year there was a couple incidences.
The Stroll.
Mainly is the Stroll incident, which is going to live in infamy because it seems like even the announcers bring it up.
Well, we had an incident during Q1 where it was the exact same chicane that they cut to with Stroll going over the curb, and it was like PTSD. We had a lot of PTSD moments this weekend.
Yeah.
Spa,
yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So Q1, Tsunoda pulled the red flag. It did mess up a few people's lap, including his teammate, and Gasly was not happy. We felt like he was going to the stewards, like he was walking. I mean, immediately got out of the car and was just on the charge.
Yeah.
So definitely messed it up. I mean, I think later he apologized. It wasn't his fault that they threw a red flag, but,
No, and yeah.
And then,
I mean, it caused, a few people to miss that, Gasly for sure to miss that, the start line to get that last lap in. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he was out in Q3 or Q1.
Yeah. Albon almost got through. That was the other heartbreak. And Mick just beat him out right at the end. And probably because Albon was on a fast lap, but then the red flag.
Yep.
And then Stroll was out, and his radio message, don't think we need to say much, but...
I mean, it was more of him screaming.
He was very...
He was angry, and definitely...
we looked at each other, we were like, wait, what?
It was kind of funny. Yeah, and people kind of went in on social media with that one too, it was kind of funny. Yeah, so that was the end of Q1, and then kind of came out for Q2. Q2 was actually the cleanest.
Yeah, Q2, not a whole lot happened. This is the second time that Valtteri hasn't qualified into Q3 since 2017, so only 2 other times. But Alfa Romeo was struggling this weekend as far as qualifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just practice.
Guanyu Zhou has struggled too. He had some car issues.
So did Valtteri.
Valtteri had some. They were all in and out with some car issues for sure this week.
Yeah, so not a whole lot with Q2, Q3.
We had another red flag.
Everybody got one clean run in.
Yep, and so that's usually the debate. Like most traditional racetracks, like an actual true racetrack, you can get the 2 in, and a lot of them will wait for that second run to be their one main run, right? And this is the kind of course that you need to probably get that banker lap in the first lap of the qualifying round. And we had some people that didn't quite put down a good enough run, and we saw what we saw. We saw Lewis
qualified P8. He did not have a good first lap. He said he needed 2 laps to warm up the tires,
and he only did 1, and it wasn't because they weren't prepped right.
George was behind, so Lewis was out in front this weekend. George got a better tow and pull through. Mm-hmm. He ended up qualifying in P6, and Lewis was in P8, but he was on a better lap for his second lap, which he was towards the back of the queue. It was Leclerc out front, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen.
Yep.
And then going into the tunnel, that final turn. What is it, Porsche?
Yeah, it's a downhill turn before the tunnel, and Checo just kind of got on it a little early, I guess, and kind of went sideways and went.
I think he said his rear tires weren't warmed up, and he almost lost it in turn 1.
Well, we saw also that incident, and then throw the yellow flag kind of late, but then on turn 5, Alonso went in the wall too, so there would have been a flag for that no matter what too.
Yeah. All I know is, don't ever go to the bathroom during qualifying, because I went to the bathroom for literally 1 second. And
I was like, you missed it.
And all I hear is, oh my God. And I think everybody was talking about how they were on Leclerc's lap watching him go into the tunnel, and in the lower corner, you just see a Red Bull spin.
That's right. That's exactly what I said, because we were on Leclerc. He was on 2 purple sectors for his second run on a real good lap.
He was 4/10 up on his original lap.
He was flying.
He was going to be on pole no matter what.
So he made the turn, was heading under the tunnel. camera was kind of pushing in, following him, and just at the bottom of the frame, we see Checo kind of slide in and hit the wall, and I was just like, wait, what?
And I'm like, what's going on?
And then they didn't really cut to it right away. And again, that's there was a few times this weekend where I was kind of yelling at the TV, like, cut to what's going on. Cut to what's going on there, and
well, and the broadcasters were even saying, "Oh, we lost our imagery, like we lost our like audio, we didn't, like all sorts of stuff."
Well,
so
there were some power issues there at the comms box and the comms. I think it's a trailer or two that they use for doing that kind of stuff, and there was some issue there. And then I also heard today that one of the reasons why there was a late start is that there was an issue with powering the lights for the race, the 5 lights.
Oh my gosh.
They couldn't get those on, and that's why there was a delay.
I have not seen that yet, but
yeah,
I mean, hey,
I heard that.
it is. But needless to say, there was 30 seconds left when the accident happened. So Perez in the wall, Carlos came around. Carlos hit Perez, broke his front end. Lots of work to do to get Checo's car up to speed. So Max came around the corner, not happy. Second year in a row, I feel like, where he's either this year, just about to enter the tunnel, or last year, coming in through the tunnel and red flags. I mean, Max wasn't going to probably take pole, but he would have had a much better lap. He might have been on the front row.
Maybe. I think he thinks that, but we'll never know.
We will never know.
Yeah,
but
so it was
little did we know, it was foreshadowing of that accident of what was going to pertain to today's race.
Yeah.
So the exact order. Unusual.
Yeah. So let's talk about today's race then. We had a Red Bull. I'm sorry, we had a Ferrari 1-2 and a Red Bull 3-4.
That we did.
And then we had who was right behind?
Then we had Lando P5, Russell P6.
Thank you.
Alonso P7, Hamilton P8.
Yep.
So and then it was Ocon. No, it was Vettel then Ocon.
Yep.
Because Ocon overtook Vettel. It was like, we had a few overtakes in Monaco today.
Yeah,
okay?
and
just
so,
small amount. Maybe like most of them from Gasly.
So here we're, in the morning, we get up pretty early to watch the race, watch all the pre-stuff that's happening. Everything's looking good. It's, looking overcast. They aren't really talking much about rain, even though there's been talk about rain on a Sunday in Monaco for over a week.
Yes, we have been talking about rain. Every team after qualifying yesterday was like, all right, this might not be the position that we want to be in, but let's all do our rain dance, like with the eyeball emoji, like we are waiting for it.
And
a lot can happen.
There was too many people who did the rain dance because the time that normally the tires need to be affixed to the car before the start of the race, before the formation lap, we get delays.
Yeah. Can we all agree that we all want rain?
Yeah.
But it's never the right amount. Like, when has there been a race where it was?
There's been a few. There was a couple. There was like one or two last year, or one for sure last year, and then I think there was like 2 or 3 the year before that were really good rain races, and then there many years before.
Okay, there definitely has been, but as of lately, I think we're all a little scarred from Spa last year.
Spa was rough.
We're all a little scarred, and then today was freaking PTSD. Like, it was flashbacks to last year.
Yeah.
Red flag came out. People were shielding themselves with pizza boxes. Everyone's soaked in the pit crews.
Yeah.
Drivers are saying they've never been more soaked in their cars.
That's because they were going so slow and it was really downpouring.
And then they're just sitting in the pit lane. So we didn't know what was going to happen. An hour goes by. We're finally going to get this race started under the safety car. We don't know if it's going to be a rolling start. We don't know if it's going to be a standing start. When they actually even go out, there wasn't a whole lot of communication of what was going to happen.
Yeah, no communication, actually. Like, the announcers
had
didn't.
idea.
They didn't even know until it was happening.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be some better communication. I know, I get it. Like, the FIA right now has, like, it's not just one person in charge. It's, like, 2 people that are, like, discussing. So the thought process is that they're not agreeing on something. But, like, they needed to make some choices. We didn't even know the race started today. And you know what I mean? Like, they went out on a formation lap with the safety car in front, and during that time, it started pouring heavily. they red flagged it.
Yeah, and if you guys like don't know all the rules and regulations, it's you have a 3-hour time frame to like complete the race.
But it starts at the start of the race, not at the start of the formation lap.
Yes, but then it's like 2 hours of racing time in a 3-hour window. So because we had 45 minutes of red flag, which basically turned into an hour because we had the safety car, multiple laps, it ended up, we didn't even finish the race, the full 78 laps.
We did not get to do the full 78 laps this year.
Which the whole thing with last year from Spa was they have new rules and regulations where if you only do 25% of the race, you only get this many amount of points. We're not doing the whole partial half points or whatever.
Yeah.
So we did get past the 75% mark. So we did give full points for today's race, but just crazy. So
yeah,
I think as an F1 community, a lot of people were having flashbacks of Spa from 2021. I was like, I cannot watch this race if it does not finish. If it does not start for 4 hours, like I can't watch this coverage.
Yeah, so the race essentially started sometime in the 10-minute window that they gave to restart the race, and they called it restarting the race. Instead
the race will resume at 16:05.
And then they said, all right, the race has already been started for a minute now. So,
Confusing.
Yeah, it was a little confusing. It was not well orchestrated on that end, and all that even caught the teams off guard. They weren't prepared for the rain. The fact that they're all running around, they didn't have the tents out on there. Like,
yeah, it was a lot. It was confusing, but we made it through. We got it. We got it.
We
kicked off.
did.
Charles did his rolling start into the pit turn, or not the main straight turn, because it's not a straight. It's just like a turn into it.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot, not a lot of carnage. I kind of expected, because it was wet, that there would be at least somebody going off.
No,
but nothing happened.
It was clean.
So it was clean.
It was a clean start to what we called the start of the race, even though it was like lap 3.
Yeah. So Leclerc got away good, and it was just in pecking order.
Yep. And that's it's kind of how it stayed for a little bit. The rain went away.
It is, until we started to see pit stops.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot, because so basically all we saw at the beginning was the back half of the grid. So I guess we should say on the formation lap, we did have 2 people crash, Latifi and Stroll, on one of the formation laps. So the 2 Canadian drivers, it was all of a sudden a yellow flag, and we're like, Latifi. And then Stroll was like, I hit the wall. So they both pitted. They went to inners after their second pit, because they pit like the next lap too.
Yeah.
Gasly went to inners. So we saw a little bit of Gasly excitement at the back portion. But
I think he was just trying to make a good try at something different.
Which he did.
Yeah.
We saw some overtaking.
Yeah.
Where did
Gasly end up finishing?
I think 12th.
Yeah, so he made a little bit of moves for sure.
Yeah.
So we saw Leclerc pretty much leading the race and doing really well, holding everyone back. It seemed like this was going to be the kind of boring race for a minute, but then we started seeing a dry line come fairly quickly, and then the talk started becoming. And it was really with Carlos and his engineer saying, I wanted to just go straight to the dries, because some teams, like you said, started kind of going to intermediates.
Well, they did. I think we saw Max go to inners, then we saw Leclerc go to inners.
Yeah, but just before those 2 went,
we saw Hamilton.
But before all that, right before all that happened, there were the people that were on the intermediates and on the wets. Their times weren't really much different, and then there started to be a moment.
Yeah, there wasn't.
That the intermediates were a little bit better, right? And so that's when we saw.
Yeah, Gasly.
That's when we saw everybody else starting to pit for the intermediates, and it was a tough call. Like, do you pit for those? Because as soon as you get those, how much faster will it take for it to dry completely? And we saw Schumacher was the first one to go on actually a set of slicks on a set of hard tires. He pitted. He was the first one to go on those, and he was kind of the guinea pig. And after he went on there, the announcers really didn't talk much about him, so he was running. You know what I mean? So that means there wasn't too.
It's kind of hard to specify a car that's literally in the back, but I mean, it was, what are we going to do? Are you going to go to inners?
Yeah.
Everybody's wets were overheating, so they're trying to find
it
wet
was drying
spots.
Out.
It was becoming difficult. So it was the right thing to do for them to go to inners, but it was like they went and the front of the pack did. Carlos at that point was leading the Grand Prix.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to stay on
He's going to stay. And then it was...
Which was really the call. That was the right move to do, but...
Okay, and then it was like, what, 3 laps later? It felt like it was like 3 or 4 laps later.
Yeah.
Carlos was like, I'm coming in.
Yep.
So he came in, he got his hards, and they double stacked the Ferraris, but they didn't want to bring Leclerc in last minute.
Yeah, so they double pitted Red Bull, and then they double pitted Ferraris. But like you just said, they try to cancel Leclerc's pitting, but he was already into the pit lane.
Why did I mess that up? It was Red Bull first. Red Bull called the double stack,
and they were
first.
ready.
And so I think it was because... like we were starting to see obviously other teams go to hards because Mick did go first, but there was a couple other people in the back that did go, and it seemed like they were in good condition. So they're like, now's the time to pull the trigger. They came in, they did it. No, we got this. I feel like we have this wrong.
We don't, but Red Bull's double pit was really nice. It was fast.
I think we have this wrong.
We don't. We're fine. And
please let us know. Am I wrong? Because I feel like I am.
Red Bull pitted first, but then they all pitted at the same time. It was all happening at the same time. They called Leclerc away, and he was already making the move into the pit lane, so he had to come.
It was Ferrari that pitted first, you guys. I know it was,
okay,
and I know we just watched it, but it was because Red Bull came in.
They pitted on the same lap.
Okay, I'm just saying who pitted first.
Sure, because they were...
Because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure Ferrari pitted first because Red Bull came back out and were able to overcut Ferrari. Because
they made the mistake.
Carlos came around when Sergio was in front. And he was able to get in front of Carlos because there was a back marker in between the two of them.
There was a few back markers,
There was one when he was coming out of the pit lane and Carlos was a little bit slow behind. This is how Sergio got the lead. And then Max was coming out of the pit lane. This is when he went over the pit line and was able to get in front of Charles.
Yep.
So... sorry about the confusion there, but yes.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that line? Do you think Max was over? Because essentially...
He was. I mean,
Sergio did the same thing, apparently. Then Ferrari is protesting.
Well, they already dismissed both of them.
Okay, so then they weren't over the line.
No, Max was. There's a picture of it.
Yeah, but they just dismissed it.
Well, they did because it was probably because it was a wet race, and he came out, and that's what it was.
I don't think he was over enough for it to be a problem.
I think it was enough, but like we've seen other rules, it's been different by race.
Yeah. All right. What else happened then?
So after that, we were getting some really good racing, and this is when I felt like I was on the edge of my seat with the 4 of them at the front.
Yeah.
A lot was happening. There was a lot of within a second. We still didn't have DRS.
We didn't have DRS, and it seemed like it was about 5, 6, maybe 7 laps of 4 cars all within a second of each other.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It got really exciting. And then red flag. So Mick was in the barrier.
Yeah, Mick took it seemed like a harder hit than maybe what it was.
Yeah.
It kind of ripped the whole back end of the car in half. And they did not red flag it at first. They virtual safety car'd it, then they safety car'd it to bunch the cars up, and they got the car out of the way and cleaned up with the safety car, but then I think they needed to do some more barrier repair, and they needed to get some more personnel on the track a little bit more. So then they red flagged it. And that brought everybody in, but also it helped. I would say it helped Lewis a little bit because he was in a little bit of a battle, and he got hit. He was kind of on the inside. He was battling. I can't remember exactly.
He was battling Ocon because Lewis just battled Alpine today. That was it. Just the 2 of them.
So before the red flag, he was battling Ocon, and he was on the inside on a turn, and Ocon kind of turned in on him pretty hard, like as if he wasn't even there, and hit his front wing. And at first, that didn't seem like there was much damage.
It was like right at the pit exit.
And then we saw the front wing kind of flap a little bit.
Yeah, it was like two laps later. It was not in good shape, probably just from...
Yeah. So that was a benefit for that red flag for him.
That was, and he had a really good pace, so it's definitely disappointing to see that, he got stuck in P8 the whole race, because I feel like there was a lot of untapped potential from Lewis. But Lewis has had some really bad luck this season, and...
Yeah, he's got the worst luck this year.
It's like killing me. It's literally killing me.
Yeah, he'll get it around. He'll get that.
No, and you know what I will say is he's been very positive about everything and just all the crazy challenges that have been, going on for him. But yes, so they red flagged. Didn't really know what was going to happen. Leclerc, we knew was going to be like going in to his team and having some choice words, because he was on the radio not happy about the pit stop.
Yeah,
WTF is happening.
He got the worst end of the deal on all the pit stop, because he, was definitely doing well in the lead, and everything that had happened just put him right in the back and forth.
And it wasn't his fault.
Nope.
So I get his frustration. So, we saw a restart. Didn't really know what the strategy was going to be. This is when it was determining, like, are we going to be able to finish within the time frame? We determined no. So we're going to be basically getting, I think, like 40 minutes of racing. So we couldn't go 47 laps. So we saw Ferrari stay on their hards, used 10-lap-old hards.
Yep, and then
Red Bull go to mediums. Basically, a lot of teams go to mediums with the exception of Lando. And I feel like a couple other people that were not at the front. So it didn't really matter.
Nope.
But I was like, okay, first of all, why are they staying on these freaking tires that are old? I didn't get it. But then later it was like, well, why did Red Bull change to the mediums? And I'm like, obviously to fire them up quicker.
Well, yeah, and I think they took the gamble saying that they didn't think that they were going to do all 77 laps either. I think they knew that they were going to be...
Well, they didn't. I probably think that they were, because I think they came on the radio and said X amount of laps. But it was a little weird. So, we got to restart. And
a rolling restart.
Not a whole lot happened. I mean, Perez took off and stayed in the same queue, and... all we saw was an Alonso train. Yeah,
so we saw the radio talk between Alonso and his engineer, and they were talking about some pacing, and if I slowed down and saved the tires for later. And then, I mean, literally it was like 3 seconds slower a lap.
Yeah, it's because they asked him to slow down.
Well,
Ocon got a 5-second penalty for hitting Hamilton, which we talked about. And then, so Alonso was told to hold up Hamilton, which not really sure how this helped any of the situation for Alpine.
It didn't.
Because it didn't.
The only way it would have helped Alpine, here's the scenario, is that Alonso slowed down enough to get Ocon past him, and then he still somehow held everything.
They could have slung shot each other forward.
No, Alonso would have let Ocon by. Ocon could have got 4 seconds 5 seconds ahead of Alonso, while Alonso's still holding everybody else back, and then they would have been able to keep both cars in the points instead of
it didn't work.
That's like the only scenario I could think of.
It seemed like a crazy strategy. So it was like Lewis was like, well, I don't know what's going on, but Alonso's going really slow. And so then Bono obviously told him what was going on, but then it was just basically like 10 seconds, then 20 seconds, then 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and
it was bad.
Honestly, it was making me really mad.
Yeah.
I'm like,
let's
go. Like, let's try and at least have some type of racing. But then, and that's what we were covering, was that instead of covering the front. So I'm like, let's just talk about the race leaders instead of talking about this Alonso basically holding everybody up by 4 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, it caused a train reaction to happen. And then we saw Lewis asking his engineer, how much time am I away from the front? Because he was still thinking he could get past Alonso and get to the front.
And then he thought there was going to be another pit. He was like, well, if we're going to pit again, make sure we're in front of this guy. Like,
Yeah.
There was like 10 minutes left.
Yeah, he didn't really know what was going on.
So why
either.
is Bono not telling him what's going on?
I don't know. And look, even in the beginning of the race, you heard Lewis too say to his team, everybody like, calm down, everybody chill out.
Yeah.
Because everybody was probably rushing and running around. He's like,
everyone, yeah, it was crazy.
Let's just make, and it sucks that he has to. I mean, I guess he's one of the leaders, and he's trying to spew positivity and
he's a very positive person.
Yeah, but he's not the only one. We should have heard. We don't get to
be honest, whatever with Monaco, because we saw Lewis come in 7th last year, and look what he did in the back half of the season. So I'm not really sure. I'm sure they'll come back, but it was disappointing to see him get held up. But I mean, that's the name of the game in Monaco. Like, you're just going to be stuck behind people. So.
It's just how Monaco is. It's too tight. They need to.
So we saw that. We saw some like really close racing those last few laps, and Sergio was able to hold up Carlos. It got really tight there towards the end. I mean, there was definitely less than half a second. Max was gaining on Carlos. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was great. It was a great finish.
Yeah, Sergio's tires his mediums were definitely struggling, so they were starting to go off a little bit, and then Leclerc was trying to make some moves, and we saw some good attempts, but again, it was just solid defense from Checo, and there was not much you can really do in this town.
Carlos, not Leclerc.
I'm sorry, Carlos. Yeah,
but same thing.
But yeah, and then
there was a battle between Ferrari and Red Bull. So
that's kind of how it finished. It finished a Carlos. I'm sorry, a Checo.
Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari.
Yeah, yep. So it went. We got Checo with his first Monaco win. Mm-hmm. He was very excited about that. Someone gave him a Mexican flag that he could drive around with, which was very cool to see. He even had some tears on the ceremony podium, and good for him. Max got on the podium, which going into the race, it seemed like he was just slightly off of podium contention. So that's what the rain can do. It can kind of cause a mix-up. However,
but also strategy. I think it wasn't even the rain. It was the pit stops.
You're right.
It was all about strategy.
I mean, look, we do our predictions like a few moments before the race, and we did ours today, or before the Monaco race, right before it even started raining. So I was just like, oh, it be what it is.
You didn't know that it was we didn't know it was gonna rain at that point, but
yeah, I mean, we knew all
got
week.
0 out of the top 5, correct? I got Verstappen P3.
Yeah,
that was
so it. I figured it was gonna be dry race, and what we saw start, we would see finish.
And we both were like Leclerc all the way. He's breaking the curse, which he did. So let's give it to him, because this is the first time he's finished in Monaco, and I'm sure he's like not feeling great about the fact that he probably should have won today. But he still had a great race, and it's a long season. He is not far behind in P2. A lot can happen, you guys. 2021, we saw. So
let me ask you. Barring we know that Monaco is a very historical race, and that's why it's still on the F1 circuit. Would you want to see Monaco leave?
I thought a lot about this, because I was going to ask you the same question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the race, but I feel like it has to stay on for nostalgia.
Yeah, I kind of wish there's been some other YouTubers and some other people talking about possibly changing the layout a little bit, because it's a street course. So instead of going straight somewhere, go left, or instead of going right somewhere, go left.
Well, there's not a lot of straights. That's the thing.
You're right, because it is Monaco is a very small country.
It's very tight.
So the city there is even smaller, and it's on a side of a mountain. So
and how are you not going to have a race in Monaco when they all live there? I'm like, I know that it's up for gamble, and we as fans are like, oh, we don't, want it because it's boring, because we have been so privileged with these races and the battling that we've had. I mean, even Barcelona, everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to be a boring race. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But even today, Monaco was a lot more interesting than it has. 2021, it was extremely boring.
That's
not a whole lot happened.
And that's not the only year it's been boring. There's other years it's been boring too.
It is I mean, it's prestigious. So I feel like we have to keep it.
Yeah, I just wish maybe they modify it to make it a better qualifying event because it's really about qualifying, you know.
So do you want to keep it?
I agree. It's a historical, prestigious event. I think you have to keep it. I think you need to modify it some way, whether you change the part of the layout and make it, because it's only 2 miles or whatever. It's not. It's like 3 kilometers. You know what I mean? And most of these tracks everywhere else they go are 5 kilometers. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think they need to do something to make the Sunday better. If not, then they need to artificially wet the track. I don't know. I mean, I know that's probably not the answer for sure, you know. But the cars are too big for the city, so it ain't gonna ever be anything different than as long as it stays on that layout. I know they've modified the track for Formula E when they do Monaco there, and I know that they do a historical race, but I think they do a historical race on the actual F1 racetrack layout. So what else? Who was your driver of the day?
It was definitely in line. It was Sergio.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Sergio had a good race. He was clean. He was
a great weekend.
Yeah. I'll go with that too. I agree.
The only other person that I feel like deserves a mention is Lando, because he didn't get a mention during the race. It was just everyone forgot because Alonso decided to hold up the entire planet, the back half from P7 down.
Yeah.
So Norris was able to have a free pit stop, and there was 3.5 minutes left of the race because we were on a time clock. And Lando was 14 seconds behind.
He was.
And he got within 0.2 of George to the line. One more lap would have been game over for P5 for Rusty Poo.
It would have. He was definitely under. He was under a second.
I don't know what happened to Russell. Did he just stop driving?
But again, I don't even know. Yeah, maybe. I don't even. Who knows if
Lando
he would have been
able
to get by? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Because
So-
a lot of drivers did get that close. But he definitely deserved a mention. I thought that was amazing racing, considering he's been sick for the last 2 weeks. He's not at 100%.
Still not at 100%. Yeah.
So go Lando.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Carlos's first win, which I know you're still waiting for.
Yeah, which is going to happen anytime now.
Anytime.
I thought it could have happened today too.
He looked a lot better this weekend. So.
It was, yeah. He's on a mission for sure. What else do you got for Monaco before we go? Because we just lost some light and we got to get going here soon.
I think that's it.
Okay.
So, it was a lot more exciting. And
yeah, so that was the wrap of the Monaco, which was definitely a much more exciting race this year. And we got a little bit of a break, and then we're going to be, you know where we're going next?
We're going to Baku.
We are going to Baku, one of the fastest street courses. And it's not the fastest because that's Jeddah, but it is got one of the fastest back straights on the circuit. And I personally really like Baku a lot. I enjoy that in the Formula One racing game. All right, well, that's it for us, I guess, here today at Straight to the Chicane.
Yes.
And
don't forget to subscribe.
And like.
And like.
Yep.
And comment.
Yep.
We'd love to talk to you guys.
Okay.
And we'll see you next time.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.